about Charles Oliveira here, but this one more specifically about Conor McGregor.
Here he is again.
He always finds a way to pop up, Dominic, and he's popping up in the worst way here.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is worse than him being on the news for punching Machine Gun Kelly. This is the worst possible thing I could think of, and that's
Yeah.
that the idea that Charles Oliveira would essentially allow Conor McGregor to skip the line and fight him for the belt in his return fight.
Yeah.
That's both apparently have said that they would do it. I know Dana was asked about it, and Dana said, I don't know. Which to me, the fact that he didn't just come out and say no is enough to make me go, oh my God, is this something that could actually happen?
Yeah.
While I don't think it will happen next, I do ultimately think we get Oliveira versus Gaethje. I do wonder, Dominic, out of the current crop of the top of the lightweights, and we can sit here and say all day that we don't want to see Conor fight for the belt next, that he needs to go and win a couple fights or win a fight or whatever to show that he is still capable of fighting for a title. Is he the potential worst matchup for the champion, Charles Oliveira?
Yeah. Old Uncle Chael brought this one up on his awesome YouTube channel in the past week I saw. And I yes and no, because in terms of striking, Conor is one of the most precise strikers that we've really ever seen, and especially at featherweight. And I guess you could say at lightweight, considering his one win was a masterclass against Eddie Alvarez. However, yes, the one win. And
that was
yes,
uh,
clinic.
You were definitely going for a bit of a stab right there.
And that is simply because we've seen since Conor, that is, be in a stand-up fight against Dustin Poirier and be bested and be knocked out due to the stand-up. Well, and I know MMA math doesn't work, and Noah's big on pointing that out, but when Dustin Poirier just fought Charles Oliveira, Oliveira was able to weather that storm, and Dustin is a very precise striker in his own right, very powerful in his own right, in a completely different style than Conor, that is. Charles Oliveira not only was able to weather that, but able to land good shots onto Dustin and obviously get the fight to the ground. So yes, on the feet, Conor is still obviously a threat to a guy like Oliveira because he's shown to have vulnerability, especially in the first round, which is usually Conor's best round. We know that. So Conor can definitely hurt Oliveira on the feet, but he's shown a very good chin. And Conor, I don't know. We've not seen that Conor. That Eddie Alvarez Conor we have not seen in such a long time, even in his fight with Dustin. Granted, he won the first round of their rematch in January. It still was not the same guy. So it's not the worst matchup for Oliveira. At the end of the day, to me, personally, it's still Islam Makhachev, which might sound crazy because of the jiu-jitsu of Charles and how dangerous it is. But I think when you have such an offensive Sambo-style wrestler as dominant as what was Habib and now Islam Makhachev, the jiu-jitsu, to me, almost gets eliminated because of their top-heavy pressure and their ability to move around and constantly change and transition and pin your arms, pin your legs to where Charles wouldn't even have a chance to maneuver and get submission attempts. So while Conor is a threat on the feet, I still think it's a good matchup for Oliveira in the grand scheme of MMA. Islam Makhachev is the worst matchup for anyone in this division, including the champion Oliveira.
I'm going to side with Uncle Chael here. I think Conor is the toughest matchup for Charles out of the top lightweights. And it just, again, it's styles make fights, right? And while I still think it's a fight that Charles would probably win, I just think it's tough because if you notice in these two title fights specifically that Charles has had, he is most vulnerable in the early stages of the fight, of round one. Usually round one, Michael Chandler had two 10-8s, even though I disagree with that.
Yeah.
He was given two 10-8s by the judges. Dustin Poirier definitely won round one and did it pretty decisively. For Conor, he is more powerful than Dustin, and more precise than Justin Gaethje. So it's a very powerful mixture that I think would really be a threat to Oliveira as he, I don't know what it is for Oliveira that makes him vulnerable early. I don't know if it's he's a slow starter, or something like that. But look at how Conor handled someone like Cowboy Cerrone, who's a notorious slow starter. And you can say whatever about the state of Cerrone's career at that point, but to me, I do think there's a chance that a fight goes like that. It's inside a minute, 2 minutes, and he puts him away early. But I think outside of that, I think it's a tough night for McGregor. But I don't, for the Islam Makhachev thing, Islam might end up winning that fight, might end up dominating that fight, but I don't necessarily see how that's I don't really see where exactly the advantage is for Islam in that fight. Like, I don't really see how that's such a tough matchup for Oliveira. Like, if the fight's fought mostly on the ground, like, again, Oliveira is so comfortable there, so deadly there, that it's almost playing more into his hand. And if the fight stays on the feet, I think Oliveira's got a good advantage in the striking. Like, I just don't. It's not that I don't think Islam can't win that fight. Islam might end up. He seems the most likely to be the next champion, but I don't know if I really see it as the bad matchup that everybody else does.
Yeah, and I mean, for what it's worth, too, not to skip over the rightful number one contender right now, Justin Gaethje can still pose many threats as well, because he is not only a great offensive wrestler, but he's carrying the power that no one else in this division holds. Not to mention the calf kick, which we really haven't seen Charles get tested with either. So that's just the state of the division. This shows you how incredible this division is, not to mention even guys like Beneil Dariush, all these up-and-comers that are coming up that we talked about last Wednesday. But yeah, I definitely, it's one of those where I can't disagree with you wholeheartedly, because Conor is always going to carry that early power. So I am curious, actually, just like opinions of many people. And to see Uncle Chael say that did pull at the heartstrings a little bit, but I respect it.
He always goes with the outlandish takes, Dom.
That's true. That's true.